Could get all the people to sit down in the audience. Thank you.
Quiet down.
Yeah.
Quiet down.
We ready? Welcome. It's Tuesday, the 21st of January, 5:30. We have our work session that's beginning right now. There's only one thing I want to mention on the roll call. We're all here except Travis. And Travis has an excuse tonight. He won't be with us. So we'll be looking for him next week. So thanks everybody for being here. We're ready to start. So would someone like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'll do that.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to ask if there's someone that would offer an invocation or give us an inspirational thought.
I can do that, Mayor.
Thank you, Lynn.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this beautiful day, for this country that we live in, for our freedoms, the opportunities that we are given. We're thankful for Santaquin City, for the residents that live here, for the opportunity we have to serve. Please help us with the responsibilities that we have this evening. We'll be able to make good choices and keep the residents of Santaquin foremost in our mind. These things we pray for at this time. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Appreciate it. First part of our discussion items tonight is our fiscal year budget 24-25 and an update. We'll be talking about budgets and some amendments that we need to coming up, but are you going to present it, yes. Shannon? Thank you.
Yep.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, it seems like I was just here not too long ago giving a first quarter update. We're now past the second quarter as of the end of December. And so we just wanted to give you a little bit of update where we're at, where we're standing. Norm's got just a memo up here, follow along with that. Like I said before, I'm not going to go into specific details about every single fund, but just give you a general overview about where we're at 50% through the year. So in the general fund, we're about 56% of our revenues. We did receive not all of our, but the big chunk of our property tax came in December. We already have in January another about $265,000. So that'll add on top of that. But at the end of December, we were at 56% overall revenues within our general fund. And as soon as we're done here with this overview, I will pull up a financial statement of the general fund. We'll just look at it really quick. Total expenditures, we're at 44.76%. Just a note, it's normal to be revenue more than expenditure at this time of the year because we did receive that big property tax, and then it will kind of even out throughout the rest of the year. Also, interest earnings are trending above normal. So that's the reason for maybe a little bit extra revenue in there. Capital funds, really the only changes in any of the capital funds or significant changes was purchase of the tire changer and balancer. And then just as a note, the police vehicles are still on order. We have not purchased those yet. They have not come in.
Will they be here before the end of the fiscal year? Do you know?
Theoretically.
We're crossing our fingers. We did get the two we got two F-150s. One went to Public Works, one went to engineering, but that didn't happen until after December, so that's why it's not listed in here.
So the police vehicles have been delayed twice now from the manufacturer. There's not a lot we can do about it. We just got informed maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that it will be sometime in February. Again, theoretically. We should have had them by now, but here we are.
In the enterprise funds, water revenues are at 51%. Expenditures are at 37%, almost 38%. Sewer, 51% revenues and 37% expenditures. And PI, you can see that the expenditures are a little low. That is because in water, there's a cap. The money we set aside to do the water meter change outs, not the PI that we had the grant for, but we set aside some money to do the water meter change outs. We haven't started that yet. So it's going to look like expenditures are really low.
That's from the pressurized irrigation,
That's the water.
the water.
Yep. So the grant we got was for the pressurized irrigation meter change out. That we're just finishing up, but in this budget we had money set aside to start now changing out the water meters, not the PI meters.
Why is there a difference between culinary and PI for revenues? Shouldn't they kind of parallel each other?
No, and we're thinking the reason why.
Is that
I've got, she's got it in
Summertime.
her memo.
Yeah.
okay?
The meter change
Yeah,
outs.
I see it. Thank you.
Yeah. We're thinking that that's because of the accuracy of the meters. We're now receiving more revenue than we thought because the accuracy of the meters is actually a thing. So, it's also because it could be a little bit because we just went through the PI season,
Right.
and now it'll kind of flatten out through the winter months when we're not getting readings off those meters. So we'll see at the end of the year what that actually looks like. In the sewer, there's a couple projects, clean out project that hasn't started yet. That is about 110,000. So that would be maybe a reason why the expenditures are a little bit low. And then, of course, the PI is the revenues are high because of what we just talked about, but the revenue or the expenditures might be a little bit low. We haven't paid any of our water assessments for any of our irrigation water yet. That usually comes at the end of the year. So, and then stormwater, that one 51% in revenue, almost 52% and 43% expenditure. There's not a whole bunch of activity going on in there, just mostly transfers into our public works repair and replacement fund. So. In the special funds, everything looks normal for all of the community services funds. The fire department, we're seeing revenues at 55% and expenditures at 39%. The revenues are trending a little bit above 50% due to wildland fire deployments. They increased this year. Collection of ambulance billings, and that's related to call volume. And then also they received 2 grants that were not initially budgeted for. There was a wildland grant and a state fire grant that we didn't budget funds for, but they've received those revenues. So we'll probably see those as a budget amendment so they can spend those funds.
Are they matching?
I don't know for sure.
I don't remember. I know Chris talked about them once, but
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I'll have to get with him before we do a budget amendment to make sure that we know what we're doing there. And then the expenditures are below 50%, and that is the same reason we talked about last quarter. They didn't start the part-time fire 24-hour coverage until January 1st. So those will probably catch up. Overall, it looks like, budget's trending as projected. Any questions?
No, just to thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have a quick question. Maybe it's kind of related. I know last year we had the RAP tax come in a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing it in line with last year's total, last fiscal year's total, or is it?
There may be a little bit more
Okay.
coming in. It's not a significant
Okay.
amount more, but there may be a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I could look for you.
But it's not like we're not seeing it like significantly change.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
So one thing to note also, and Shannon does a great job with this, is that all of our revenue are all projections, right? We assume a certain amount of growth, even in the RAP tax, sales tax, property tax. We assume a fairly modest amount of growth in there, and it may be trending just a little bit higher. I think that's one of the things that she's going to point out here. But that's typical in most of our funds that have to do with those projections that we have, right? We know on water pretty well what the revenue is going to be because it's X number of gallons per time, how many units we have, how many doors we have, those types of things. And so Shannon does a great job with the projections, but they are just that. They are just projections.
Yeah.
We try to do the best estimate we can. She does, and she does a pretty good job of that.
the one thing I did want to mention, I don't know that we do have a few more water shares this year because of the purchase of the Smith property and having those 19 shares come to us. So that's going to increase at another 20 $2,000, something like that,
Yeah.
to put it in. But that's, even though we say, well, we haven't included that in, that's over $800,000 just to pay those water assessments. And right now, we're not having to go ahead of time like we've had to do in the past. We should be able to do it right in line with the billing period. So
The Summit Creek water assessments? Yeah.
So that'll be really good, I think.
Yeah. Those come in, they usually come
They'll
in
be
in
here
like,
soon.
yeah.
Should
Yeah.
be March.
Some of those are paid out of the water district and
Well-
some are paid out of the water fund. So it just depends on if they're in Santaquin City's name or the district's name. So,
Right. And yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Where do you want me to
Okay.
go on these, Shannon?
Go to page 3 where I just want to give you an idea where individual funds or individual accounts are trending right there. So if you notice the very first one, the 31,100 is the current year property tax. You can see that we have now collected $1.4 million of the 1.7 that we projected coming in. And like I said, there was another 260,000, I think, that just came in this month in January.
That is
So,
different than those two figures?
yes.
So remember that this looks at December 31st, and that those funds came in after that. So
Right.
we're reporting on December 31st numbers.
Yes. Yeah. But also keep in mind too, 260,000, some of that goes to the library. 8.2% of that goes to the library. So it's not going to be
But you can see we're getting
260,000.
close. If
We're
we
getting
got
close. Yep.
260,000 of 300, we're getting pretty close to not having a whole lot of revenue left there, and that's why we're trending at 85% of that particular line item.
Yep. Everything else in that fund looks
So again,
normal.
if you want to point out sales tax, sales and use taxes were about 3% higher at the end of the fiscal year or at the end of second quarter. But remember, Christmas hasn't been reported yet. Christmas revenues from Christmas spending and those types of things. But also there's typically a lull after the Christmas money comes in. So it ebbs and flows all the way through the year.
Yep. You'll notice on the electricity franchise tax, we're a little bit ahead, but on the gas, we're below. And that's just because of the seasons. So during the summer, we bring in most of our revenue for electricity. And then during the winter months, we'll bring in most of the revenue for the gas, just because that's.
Can I ask you a
When
question
it's
about
used.
the property tax
Yeah.
again? So are we estimating like 7,000 just delinquent, or are we assuming that that's going to come in? I know we said like about 260,000 came in.
So
I think,
those actually
like,
come in throughout the year.
Yeah.
We will get
Oh,
property
okay.
tax, and especially the delinquent ones, throughout the year as when people pay them, right? We don't have any control over that because it's
Yeah.
when they pay the county and when the county pays us.
so we're not seeing like an above average of delinquencies in her.
No. Let's see. I think everything else in that motor vehicles, people are buying cars. We're at 68% on motor vehicles. That's trending a little bit above where we estimated that would be. So, but overall, in the taxes line item, we're at 61% at 50% of the year.
Which is exactly where we would expect to be because of the
It
property
will
taxes
flatten back out. Yeah.
that are slowing way down.
Yep. The other thing I wanted to point out, building permits, we're at 65%, that 32,210. So we're trending a little bit above where we thought we would be. And then on the interest, if you'll scroll down just a little bit more. Right there. Oh, court fines, we're at 51%, so we're right where we need to be. And then go down just right there, interest earnings, we're at almost 90% at 50% of the year. So we'll have a little bit extra coming in interest this year.
That's a good number.
That's a very good number.
Yeah.
You just don't know what the economy is going to do. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, and then also remember, as we spend down those savings on projects like Main Street and other places, those interest earnings will also diminish over time. We have a $8 million sewer project that'll be coming to you for guaranteed maximum price at some point in the next couple of months, and that's going to take a significant amount of savings down, which is going to affect this bottom line.
Right. And interest rates with PTIF did come down below 5%. Were just a little bit above 5% for months, and now they're below 5%. I don't know with this last increase if they'll go back up. We'll have to see. But anyway, and then if you'll just run through the expenditures really quick. So the total revenue, stop right there. You can see the 56.8. That's what's reported on the. So overall, the revenues are at 56.08. And then just going through the general fund expenditures, you can see legislative is at 35% expenditure, courts at 45%, and this is all 50% of the year. So everything's trending a little below. Administration is at 50.62, and that's because we paid our insurance and bonds. We pay a lump sum right at the beginning of the year.
So it's paid through the end.
It's paid other than workers' comp doesn't come out of here. Anything new, like if we get a new vehicle or if something like that, that'll be extra. So that one was engineering is at 35%. Of course, that one's low because we have not hired an engineer, and
We
that
have
was
not been
budgeted.
able to hire an engineer.
Right.
Have we had any movement on that at all?
We've had some applications, but not ones that would qualify.
Keepers. Huh?
Buildings and grounds is at 53%. And watch that one. I'll watch that one really close. We've spent money on the lamb rental that wasn't expected to be spent. We may have to do a budget amendment in this fund right here.
Have we had any movement on that rental?
Still working on it. More action in the last week or so.
All right.
And then police, if you'll scroll down, police is overall at 44%, 45%. And then you have streets.
44%.
44.
44% of what?
Those
On
are
the
expenditures.
Of what overall?
So
So
we're
that's
at
the
50,
overall
yeah,
budget,
we're
whether
at
it's
50%
police or
of the
That
year.
streets.
overall 44%.
So
of
scroll back.
228.
So of the budgeted amount of
2.8, right?
we've
So their
spent
budget is 2.8. We're at 45%.
we've spent
they're
1.2, almost 1.3 million.
Okay, I was just thinking about the delta there and some of the discussions we've had. That's all right.
Streets, similar, 44.
Sanitation at 44, building inspection at 45. So everything's turning around the same, pretty close to the same amount. Parks is at 52, and cemetery is close behind. Keep in mind there that cemetery is at 45. Parks, that takes into account all of the seasonal employees that we had the first of the year. That'll kind of flatten out a little bit now that we don't have those seasonal employees, and then he'll pick them back up in April right before the end of the budget. So, and then planning and zoning, we are at 42%. And then overall, if you scroll down to the bottom, that's that 44.76%. Any questions on that? Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Did you find $1 million anywhere that we just forgot about? Just in case it comes up.
No, yeah, I'm still looking. But
Oh, that's all right. Upcoming agenda items?
Sure. So, Mayor
Are
Council,
we good with the budget? Do we have anything that we need to look at? I just want to say thank you, too, before we just pass on. It's excellent, but what's really good is to see how those numbers are trending the way we expect, even though the revenues aren't going to pop in as fast over the next 5 months. We're still in really good shape with how we've budgeted and looked at and projected the way things are going to have to come together. So, thank you for the planning that you do, and I appreciate it all. Okay.
yeah, so Mayor Council, on the regular agenda for the regular meeting, there's minutes and bills. Happy to answer any questions that you have about those. What do you love about Santaquin? The 2024 contest winner will be Chelsea Rowley. She'll be presented to here this evening. We will have a public hearing. That is a formal action that we have to take to open the public hearing and then close that for any comments on budget amendment number 3, which is also coming up later in the packet. The budget amendment number 3, I'm happy to, let me just jump through that really quick and talk about what's in there. There's 2 items in there. One is the use of donated police funds. If you may know that we have several avenues where people have donated funds to help the police department, and the officers go to Police Week in Washington D.C. in honor of Bill Hoosier, whose name and will be put on the memorial wall there, the memorial, what do you call it, monument. And so that we need to be able to, those funds have come in, but we need to be able to have to your approval to spend those funds. And then on the park impact fees, I did want to mention on this one, this is something, this project itself has actually spanned 3 fiscal years. And so it kind of, I made a mistake last fiscal year thinking that we had done more than we had. We actually had 350 budgeted from last year, 350,000 for these lights. The total cost, if I remember correctly, and we'll look at it coming up, is I think 410 or 418. But when we carried over a portion of it, we didn't carry enough. So some of that went into fund balance last year and now needs to be pulled back out of fund balance because we didn't use it and didn't budget for it. But this is essentially taking care of all the electrical and everything that we need for the lights at Orchard Hills Elementary, for the ball field lights up there. Again, it's been something that has been ongoing. There's been 3 things. One is I missed it big time. That's not Shannon's fault. That's my fault because I didn't account for the carryover properly. Although the funds that we didn't use last year just went into fund balance, and so we can use them now. The second thing is that costs have increased significantly. I want to say that we're probably about 17% over. I did the calculations on it the other day, and what comes to memory is that we're about 17% over between Rocky Mountain Power, the cost of the lights, and the cost of the electrical. We're overrunning the cost of the project by about 17%, which is not unusual for some of the things that we've seen recently. Main Street project comes to mind, where it came in double what the money we had. And so then paring that down on that kind of thing, that's a separate project. But that's the purpose of the $140,000 to use, is to get us so that we have the ball field lights complete and usable. And the lights are in, they've been installed. Rocky Mountain Power, I believe, has their stuff installed. We just now need this last piece of electrical to tie everything in together. There will be a couple of scoreboards up there that went in a couple of years that we purchased a couple of years ago, or no, last year. And so that will be a fully functional nighttime venue for us for ball games come this season. So any questions about that? That one's a little probably more specific than.
Yeah, Norm.
Yes, sir.
The last time we met, I think we did this park impact fee project eligibility. And those lights ranked number 1. Are they not going to be considered in our budget hearing because it's already been accomplished?
Let me check on that with you. I'm not sure that ball field lights were on there.
That means there was 1 vote for it.
It wasn't ranked number 1. There was 1 vote for it, if I remember
okay.
correctly. And the ball field lights that are on that one, I believe, are over at the rodeo ground ball fields, not Orchard Hills. Orchard Hills has been
It says Harvest View Sports Park.
Harvest View is Summit Ridge.
I have to look into that and see. I'm not
Okay.
sure. That may have been for ball fields over there. But this project, as far as Orchard Hills lighting, is, like I say, been carried over from 2 previous fiscal years, and it's not being scored or ranked. It's already on the books, and this is just the ability for us to get these funds transferred to finish the project out.
We don't have ball fields yet over at Harvest View.
No, but they're planned.
Yeah.
They're on the master plan, and I think that's
Pretty
why
hard
they're
to put
listed on
lights
there.
in before we have the rest of it, though.
Again, I'll have to look at that and see. I know that there was some at least one project was listed in 2 places on that, which was an error on my part.
Trying to be good. Didn't even count the ball shots.
I want to make a motion, Lynn. He's making the cough.
Okay, the second thing is the award of the, if and once we pass the budget amendment number 3, we would like to award that to IEC or IEC contractors to get that electrical done. That's number 7. Jason, you've got 2 ordinances there if you want to talk about those.
Yeah, I noticed something as I was sitting here looking at it, but we have the rezone of a couple acres up Peter Rabbit Springs is the area that the people know as. This is essentially early last year, we were trying to do some cleanup with our zoning and have city-owned property be in the public facility zone, so we had the appropriate flexibility to do what we needed with those properties. Part of that rezone was some property the city did own, but we were also soon after did a negotiation with the Scenic Ridge Estates developer or owner up there, and to swap that property. So now the property's been swapped, and a public facility zone property was not really their intent in terms of the trade. So we're trying to just revert it back to what it was before, which was basically R12 zoning standards. But I have something I'll talk during the break. I noticed with that instead of reverting back to the R12 PUD zoning that it was, it's now just R12, which I think we might want to revert back to R12 PUD. So it is what it was before the public facility zone change, just to memorialize what has happened on that property. It shouldn't impact anything. It's really more technicality that I noticed.
Does that impact any of the noticing?
That's what I want to talk about at the break is
Yeah, before you change that, we do something along those lines.
right. And that's why I want to be able to speak to that, and I'll talk with Brett during the break and see if that changes anything. But it's still R12 standards. It's just all that property was part of a PUD, and I think that's why it says PUD. And so instead of it reverting to, like I'm looking at the zoning map, a little island to R12, I think it should revert back to the R12 PUD. But anyways, I'll talk with Brett on that. The other one is basically just an annual standards and specification drawings update.
John Lundell will be here to speak to that if you have any questions, or I can try to answer those if you've got any questions as far as the standards and specs.
Yeah, I don't have anything more to say on that. John Lundell's kind of spearheaded that effort. So,
And then the last thing, Mayor and Council, will be a resolution to amend the Greenhall Construction Holdings agreement in the industrial park. This is just in harmony with what we've done with several other development agreements to allow the use of the 11 feet out in front for landscaping purposes, and also to prohibit storage containers, any kind of construction with storage containers. Happy to answer any questions that you have about that if you have any.
Was there any intention to do that, or we're just
Intention to do what?
like the storage containers? That's what I was.
So we've changed this kind of midstream. We actually did have somebody that was looking at the industrial park some year and a half ago that said, "Hey, we've done this over there," and we thought, we probably don't want to do that over here. The mayor thought that. So
Yeah, well,
yes,
what they
it
wanted
was.
to do was bring them in and then put roofs between them and make
make a building
carports
out
out
of
of
Like
them.
Springville.
Yeah, like in Springville.
No.
So yes, it was intentional
And if
to
you're
to
listening
not do
tonight,
that.
Sorry.
And this is just in harmony with the last, 4 or 5 purchase agreements that we've had, or amendments that we've done to clean that up. So
so will there be? So this will be included in future purchase agreements.
it already
It
has
has
been.
been.
We
It has
already
been.
have
Yeah.
probably 4 or 5 agreements that we've included this
Yeah,
in.
we wrote it in as soon as we recognized that. I think we went in that night.
Yeah.
Nope, we're changing this.
I think we only had 3 agreements that were inked without that, and then since then, 2 of the 3 that were inked before that will now have it in there with this
So
agreement.
This
this is the last one, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I assume Kurt's okay with it too.
Yeah, I
We're changing
visited
it,
with
so, yeah.
Greenhall and Kirk, and he was actually ready to sign it last week, and I asked him to hold off just because Brett was still reviewing at the time, and this is the final version here. So, and then I believe the mayor has intention or need to go into a closed session.
Yeah. It'll be a short one though. So when we finish up, I don't intend that we'll be in there for more than 10 minutes. That's the hope. It's good news, and but it's something I think you guys need to know and to have a report. Okay?
All right.
Sound good?
That's all I have, unless you have anything else, or
Yeah. we've got an hour before the big party starts.
And the crowds roll in.
Yeah. Anything else?
We might have a crowd.
Anything you want to talk about tonight? Is there something that we wanted to bring up and discuss? Jeez, we talk about so many things. Well, okay. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn from the work session.
So moved.
Moved.
I'll second.
Brian,
Aye.
Art,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
We're done. Thank you.